Hey, now it's time for Activity 3.2b, Illness and Disease, uh, the Deadly Disease. You are writing a short paper, a research paper, on one of the 10 most deadly diseases in the world. So, great news. You don't have to pick the 10 most deadly diseases in the US. You have the entire world from which to choose. So, let's find where you can get information on the 10 deadliest diseases in the world because that's what we need to start with. So, this is taken from the World Health Organization. Here are the deadliest diseases in the world. Let me scroll up. The first column is the estimated number of deaths in millions, and the second column is the percent that particular cause of death is of all of the causes of death in the world that we have information for. So, ischemic, I hope I pronounced that right, heart disease, 7 million people 7,250,000 people die every year from it, and that's 12% of all the deaths of everyone who died last year. 12.8%. Let me scroll down some more so I can get all of the diseases. Okay, so some of these are not diseases, or one of them is not diseases. Road traffic accidents is not a disease that I know of. And you wouldn't be able to use low birth weight because there are many reasons why, or there's not one reason why someone might be born premature or with a low birth weight. But there are plenty of diseases here that you can choose to write about in your 10 deadliest diseases essay. Let me go back to our activity page or the directions. Okay, so you've chosen one of those diseases. Um, in your essay, you're going to include a brief history of the disease, the cause of the disease, how it spreads, and any possible treatments. So you're looking at a four-paragraph essay. Let's talk about the first thing you have to do, a brief history of the disease. Now, when you're talking about the disease, giving a history of it, you could talk about when it was discovered or when the first recorded mention of it in in the historical record was. So, for example, diabetes is mentioned by the Greek physician Galen way, way before. Let me get the figure for you right here. Okay, so I just checked. It's not actually Galen, but it was the first recorded instance of diabetes being described as a disease is in 230 BC, so 230 years before when Christ may have been born or was born. So you could also talk about um, some early attempts to cure it or early treatments for that disease, um, or when the disease was particularly prevalent. Um, that is all things that could be talked about when we talk about a brief history of the disease. Okay, so let's talk about the second. That's going to be your first paragraph. First paragraph is the brief history of the disease. Second paragraph is going to be the cause of the disease. When we talk about the cause of the disease, when we talk about the cause of the disease, it's going to be very similar to 3.2a when we talked about the four deadly diseases and we talked about how it kills you. You're going to do the same thing here. How does this disease, what causes it to develop inside of you? Or what causes you to develop this disease? Is it genetic? Is it transmitted by a microorganism like influenza or pneumonia? Um, do you do lifestyle choices have are they a factor in causing you to develop this disease? And you might another interesting thing you could talk about in this paragraph is whether this is always fatal. Some diseases kill many people, but lots of people or a few people survive them. For example, tuberculosis kills many people, but it doesn't kill everyone. Um, and you could talk about what are the rates of survival and maybe why physicians or why some people survive, and why they don't. Your third paragraph is going to be about how this disease spreads. Um, it's going to be closely related to the second paragraph. Um, is this disease genetic, meaning you're born, it has something to do with your DNA? Is it a transmissible disease, meaning can it pass from person to person? Um, if it's a virus, where does this virus tend to live? Like which population does it live in? Um, does it mutate? I mean, or is it something that's caused by lifestyle choices, or has a heavy lifestyle component, like something like lung cancer? Um, Smoking is a huge contributor to lung cancer. Some people will get lung cancer even if they don't smoke, but a large amount of people who get lung cancer because they smoked. And your last paragraph is going to be a combination of describing the possible treatments and whether the disease is preventable. When you discuss the possible treatments, you want to talk about what happens to people when they get this disease, what can doctors do right away or over time to slow the spread of the disease or maybe reverse the progression of the disease. Second, you can also talk about what doctors can do for patients if they have the disease. What can they do to help them return to normal function if they survive? And you could also talk about if there's lifestyle changes that you can make that can lower your risk for disease. For most diseases, there will be. I mean, things like heart disease, um, exercise and diet can lower everyone's risk. Some people will lower the risk a lot. Sorry, lower the risk a lot. Um, but for almost everybody, it will lower the risk of contracting heart disease at least some. Okay, so to recap, you need 4 paragraphs. First paragraph is a brief history of the disease. Second paragraph is the cause of the disease. Third paragraph is how it spreads. Fourth paragraph is both possible treatments and whether the disease is preventable. Okay, good luck. If you have any more questions, you can include them or you can ask them in the comments section down below. Thanks.